Mining giant Fortescue Metals has announced plans to decarbonise its iron ore operations by 2030. It's going to cost about $6.2 billion US, with the bulk of the money being spent between 2024 and 2028. Fortescue is a massive user of diesel and gas. So to understand how this ambitious target can be achieved, I caught up with Fortescue Executive Chairman Andrew Forrest a little earlier.
I think we have a really detailed, comprehensive, as you'd expect for Fortescue, construction and execution strategy. We have a very large construction team, which is coming off Iron Bridge, engineers, experts all through that very big project. They'll roll straight into decarbonisation. So we've already got the manpower, we've already got the skills, we have the technology, we know when and how to do it. So, and of course, we can pay for it out of our own balance sheet. So I think we've mitigated all the risk, which is reasonable, Ed.
How much diesel and gas do you currently use, and how big a cost is that right now for Fortescue?
Oh, look, if we do nothing by 2030, we'll be chomping through 1 billion litres of diesel a year plus gas. You're looking at $1.5 billion in fossil fuel US dollars. They're just getting smoked into the environment. You've got nothing to show for it. We take that, we invest it into energy, into equipment, into beautiful facilities which will last for 20, 30, 40 years. And we have eliminated fossil fuel. With a one-off investment of $6.2 billion, we can create savings of $818 million a year. And that's not counting the $3 billion we can also save on the way through the construction of this decade. So if you look at net, you took the $3 billion off the 6.2 total capital, you've got a yield there, internal rate of return of well into the teens. And if you look at the net cost after you've also taken into account the savings of this decade as we build it all out, then you've got an IRR into your 20s. So this is a really solid, responsible investment which sends the entire company post-fossil fuel, which is where, of course, we all have to go.
Yeah, this plan looks ambitious, looks a little light on the detail. I know you're buying 120 mining haul trucks, but what about all the trains, the drill rigs, the excavators? How concrete are your contracts to purchase those?
Yeah, look, they are very solid, as is those 120 trucks. But I emphasise solid because in many cases, we're contracting with ourselves. Fortescue Future Industries and Fortescue Rail, for instance, are providing the technology for us to put the drivetrains into these massive trains, Ed. We're talking about the largest, heaviest, fastest bulk trains on Earth. We load them with 37,000 tonnes of iron ore. We send them basically down to sea level, 500 odd kilometres away. We've got so much energy there. We actually, with our big honking diesel engines right now, we spend most of the power braking those huge trains. So instead, we put all that parabolic, all that gravitational energy back into a battery, easily enough power to send that empty train back up the hill. So Ed, you've created the infinity train, a train which can run forever with no external source of power, therefore no emissions. These are the innovations which Fortescue's taking step by step to completely move the company beyond fossil fuel.
How big an assumption here is green hydrogen? By 2030, what price are you expecting for green hydrogen? And are you going to be generating most of it yourself up in the Pilbara?
Yeah, the green hydrogen that we need, we will generate ourselves. You remember, Ed, you're talking to the company who's building the largest electrolyser facility in the world. You know, you can buy an electrolyser now for 25 megawatts. We're building out a 2,000 megawatt facility in Queensland per annum. So we know, of course, where to get the water from, where to get the energy from, but the catch here, Ed, is the electrolysers, which are decisions we took over a year ago, we funded over a year ago, and will be ready next year. So we've really prepared Plan B, Plan C, Plan D before we announce Plan A, Ed.
And Elon Musk doesn't think hydrogen fuel cells have a future. What's your response?
Look, Elon's a great bloke. I don't know if he's just in it for a buck, but all I can say is that 30 to 40% of the world you can't plug in, Ed. You need a huge chemical demand from oil and gas. You can completely match with hydrogen. You can't do that with an electron. You can't plug in a ship. You can't plug in an aeroplane. So whichever way you cut it, I'd say to someone like Elon, you should be technology agnostic. Whatever's good for the world, not just for your business, we should all support.
And how big a generation will be solar as well? Because the biggest solar farm in the world is 2 gigawatts in India. It takes up 53 square kilometres. So what element to your power generation is going to be solar?
Yeah, we're going to make 2 to 3 gigawatts of solar and wind, and it won't be anything like that scale. Technology has improved so much, Ed, and the reason why the world and the industrial world, the business world, is kind of hanging back in its straps towards going green is everyone's waiting for someone else to go first. Well, we've worked out with our technology, with our know-how, with our construction skills, our solar, our wind, that we can make a very handsome return and go fully green. So we're prepared to be the first mover. Yes, technology edge is going to continue improving, and yes, we'll be able to react to it. But this is a really solid, very responsible investment for all stakeholders. And of course, we step beyond fossil fuel, which is, Ed, what we all must do. Climate change is not a joke, mate.
Your competitors, they're investing in commodities for the future like copper and potash, but you're more investing now in decarbonisation. So are you a bit worried you're going to get left behind from a mining business perspective?
No, Ed, I think we've got plenty to talk about with copper, rare earths and the like. Green iron is just a metal which just doesn't exist right now. It's in big demand. You will be able to make the green iron ore. Ed, I'm not remotely concerned about being left behind. I cheer for our competitors to produce the battery group metals. And I've said to them, let's make sure we do that, not with fossil fuel. If you think you're helping the planet by producing battery group metals and polluting the planet in the process, you're not helping. We need real zero, Ed. We have the technology, we have the know-how, we have the capability. And I've contacted my peers at the big end of town in the mining industry, said, look, this is technology and know-how I'm totally prepared to share. Let's have the global mining sector go from laggard, the one which everyone expects would be the last to decarbonise. Let's go from laggard to leader. Let's have the mining industry go green.
And your big customer is still China. They're in COVID zero lockdowns at the moment, lots of problems with their property sector. How confident are you that the demand for iron ore is going to continue?
Oh, look, Ed, I've been taking my demand signals from China, actually from China itself. I mean, everyone's an expert on China, but if you really want to rely on what China's going to do, ask China. But Ed, I'd say this really strongly. That's not going to be our traditional market. As we go green, we'll be the first and only major supplier of carbon-free iron ore. Now, you can't hope to make green iron or green steel unless you can start with green iron ore. We'll be the first major producer of green iron ore in the world. We know there's a big demand for it because we know the steel mills really want to capture the premium of green steel. Well, they're coming to us to say, when are your first shipments of green iron ore? We need to know so we can budget how and where we're going to adjust our own manufacturing capacity to supply green steel to our customers, because that's what they want.
Well, Fortescue Executive Chairman Dr. Andrew Forrest, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Ed.